SS8H5 analyze the impact of the Civil War on Georgia. Element B, explain Georgia's role in the Civil War. Include the Union blockade of Georgia's coast, the Emancipation Proclamation, Chickamauga, Sherman's Atlanta campaign, Sherman's march to the sea, and Andersonville. Our learning target: I will explain Georgia's role in the Battle of Chickamauga, Sherman's Atlanta campaign, Sherman's march to the sea, and Andersonville. For the most part, Georgia was untouched by the Civil War till about 1863. But once it came to Georgia, it was a big hit. The Battle of Chickamauga was a major battle in Georgia, and it lasted only 3 days, September 18th through the 20th. Located in Walker County, Chickamauga was an important battle. It was important because it was located close to Chattanooga. The main goal of the North was to capture Chattanooga. Chattanooga was important because it was a major railroad town. The North thought, once Chattanooga was captured, on to Atlanta, another major railroad town. The Union loss at Chickamauga was a very big blow to the Union. It hurt because the battle was important, because it was the largest Union defeat in the Western theater. Then the general for the Confederacy failed to follow the Union back to Chattanooga, and Chattanooga was eventually captured. The capture of Chattanooga was a huge deal. Not only was it a huge railroad center, but it was a jumping off point for William T. Sherman and his plan. William T. Sherman is sometimes referred to as the most hated man in history. His trek through Georgia has major social, economic, and political impacts. Sherman led 2 military campaigns through Georgia. His first was the Atlanta campaign. His goal was to capture Atlanta. The Atlanta campaign started in spring 1864 with Sherman's eyes set on Atlanta, a major railroad town and a major industrial center. It took over 4 months and some smaller battles in Dalton and Kennesaw Mountain. By September 1864, the Confederacy withdrew from Atlanta, leaving it wide open for a Union takeover. Sherman held Atlanta for 2 months while he planned his next attack. In November, Sherman left Atlanta. Historians are unsure if it was Sherman and his men, Confederate soldiers, or citizens, but Atlanta was set on fire. Sherman left Atlanta on his next adventure. Sherman's march to the sea. His goal was to end the war and punish the South. Sherman's goal was to destroy the spirit of the South while destroying the South. He trekked through Georgia, breaking his troops into 2 groups, destroying over 300 miles of land. Sherman wanted to destroy Georgia's infrastructure, the railroads, the cotton gins, roads, and buildings. Finally, Sherman and his men arrived in Savannah. Not wanting to have the same fate as Atlanta, Savannah surrendered. Sherman then sent a telegram to Lincoln, letting him know that Savannah was captured and the city of Savannah, along with 25,000 bales of cotton, were his Christmas present. Fort Sumner is the official name, but most know it as Andersonville. Andersonville is the most notorious Confederate prisoner of war camp. It was built to house 10,000 captured soldiers, but at its peak, it had over 30,000 soldiers. When the prison reached full capacity, the conditions went down. The only water source was a small creek that ran through the camp. It became infested with sewage and human waste. The Union blockade kept the prison from getting the much needed food and supplies for the prisoners. It got so bad that Union soldiers were turning on each other. The raiders, as they were known, were beating and robbing others. In the end, 6 of the raiders were killed for their crimes. The captain, Henry Wires, was later executed for the horrible conditions and high death rate at the prison. Another camp was built, but due to Sherman and his army advancing, moving prisoners didn't happen.